waited because it was an ongoing court case, and then I kind of thought, well, it's kind of not something that you want to talk about, and I'm sure the person that it happened to, essentially, if they listened to this, they'd be like, oh, ugh, why are you even speaking about this? Because it's not a point of news. This is something that happened to someone in their real life. However, I found something different to the whole appearing in court appearance, being a witness, just being in the court system for this matter that was taken to trial. And I just wanted to point out something to all the wokies. In our first world Western nations, it's predominantly safer than, say, a lot of other places in the world, and we just don't even know. We're out here thinking, oh my goodness, so much crime happens, and it does, but compared to some places in the world, we have it pretty easy. I'm bringing that up because in our everyday life, it's my opinion, no, you shouldn't judge someone based on their color or the way they've dressed or anything, but we do, and there's a reason we do that. No, it's not everyone, but we have these ideas of stereotypes, and we have them for a reason, because they have rung true for so long for so many people. And whether or not that's convenient to your morals or what you think the world is, it just happens. So, on with the story. Story time! I will not go into specifics, but what you need to know is that it was a 3-day trial based on an SA offence. Someone I know was the plaintiff/victim of this happening, and there was a jury that was selected. Now the jury, for those who don't know, and I can't imagine people don't know this, but there's 12 people/13, and the 13th one is chosen just in case something happens to the 12, like they die, they get sick, they can't make the actual trial for one day, whatever it is. There's about 13. People are chosen and selected at random, so you usually get a letter in the mail and you come to a big room on a certain date in the court, and you have a number. And they randomly call out your number. They put you in a group and they take you around to the court where you're going to serve. Now, you could serve for a day, you could serve for 3 days, you could serve for, God forbid, 12 days. That is grueling, like if it's an emotional trial, and to keep going to the court every single day, to miss out on work and things like that. They say they reimburse you. It's not worth it, and the food is definitely not worth it. So when you go into that room, you're sort of praying, dear Lord, I just want a one-dayer, please. Please, just a nice and easy one-dayer. The first time I ever had to do it, they said they were going to feed us. And even at the time, before Uber and stuff, I was still going, oh yeah, Chinese food in a dark room around a table with a bunch of strangers and we're just discussing stuff like in the movies. No. I got a plate and it had mashed potatoes, which were very white, and it had sort of a brown liquid congealed sort of meat thing. So it looked like the inside of, say, cat food can when you tip out the last few bits and they all squelch together and everything. I don't know what it was. I honestly don't know what it was, and I didn't eat it. But that's what you got, and it's not worth it. To this particular trial, I was supposed to be a witness testifying. Unfortunately, my testimony kind of fell under hearsay because I had screenshots from the victim and I had pictures and things like that, but it kind of came from them. So technically they couldn't use it in court, and my testimony was based on that stuff, obviously, and the subsequent meetings with the person afterwards and generally trying to help them to get counselling and things of that nature. But you can't say things like, oh, I've worked at this important job for this long and this person's never lied to me and I've known them for nearly a decade and I know them very well and they told me right after the incident. Like, none of that matters. In the trial, it doesn't matter if I was, say, testifying and I stood up and I actually told them from my point of view what I saw happen to that person and the way they conducted themselves after the incident, the way they worked at their job or tried to, the way they dropped out of study, the way they would call me from under their bed because they could hear people outside. It affected them so badly psychologically, and in this situation, it doesn't matter. Only facts at the time. Again, it sucks when you know the truth. And it also is a good thing, because if it was completely the opposite way around, and I am one of these people that is definitely not believe all women, because there are skanks out there that want your money and they want your reputation, they want to destroy lives for whatever reason they want to do that for. They are rife in the community. But I can tell you right now, this person I know is not one of those people. Anyway, moving on. So jury selection. They were the dumbest people. So they get given a lady that's basically there to wipe their ass, sort of tell them how to do things, how to excuse themselves from a courtroom, and how things are generally going to flow. There's going to be a lunch break, things like that. And they're allowed to ask this person questions. And I don't think it's the whole study and immersion into that culture and the fact that I like LawTube, and I don't think it's that, because everybody's seen some friggin' Law and Order on the TV and in the movies and stuff. You got some sort of knowledge. The questions that were coming out of this group, this is why we can't have nice things. This is because people like this get to vote. There has to be some sort of rule. I'm going to advocate for that. There has to be some sort of litmus test, some sort of at least fundamental knowledge of the way this works, because the questions that I was hearing, they left me speechless. And I had to have been making faces because, the wiping ass lady was like, excuse me, can you just move? Like, she didn't want me sitting among them. And I don't know if I was meant to anyway. I don't know if I was allowed to because I'm a member of the public at that point. They couldn't use my testimony, but I was allowed to go and support, my person, my friend. And so I'm watching them all congregate around the door, ready to go in when court is going to start. And straight off the bat, I'm like, you're going to get challenged, you're going to get challenged, you're going to get challenged, and maybe you. So a challenge is when one of the lawyers does not like the look of you. And that is the point of this video. You can be as woke as you want and you can believe what you want, but at the end of the day, the system does not operate like that. Like your little fairy world. You want to be accepted. Oh, I have this color hair. It doesn't mean this. Oh, I want to sleep with this kind of person. It doesn't mean this. In the eyes of the law and with regular people, yeah, it does. Hate to break it to you, this is what happened. So they walk in. Straight away, I'm looking at my person, friends, whatever's lawyer, and it's a male. The other side, the defendant, the man that has been accused of the SA stuff, has suddenly changed his lawyer to a female. To me, I'm thinking, of course you did, you piece of because how would it look, for those that don't get it, how would it look if two males were saying, she wanted it, or, whatever the defense was going to be, I don't know at that point. So he got a woman to defend him. Because whether or not you think that, subconsciously, something about a woman saying, oh no, he's an all right guy, look, I'm even standing up for him. Something of that persuasion grips you in the mind, somewhere where you can't really even get a hold of before you've realized you've thought it. Except for me, because I know these tactics, honey. So, so for me, I was like, oh, of course. And then from then, it was kind of just kind of making a game of it, proving myself right. So they went to select jury members. Now, when the jury members all get in there, or potential jury members all get in there, there's, I think, double the amount or triple the amount of what they need. And they need 12, 13. 13 because a jury member might die or get sick or not be able to make one day of the trial or whatever. So they need a backup that's been with them the whole time so they can just jump in and, they're up to speed straight away. And so everyone sort of sits down and they get their numbers called out. And the person I was there for had the male lawyer. And the first person he challenged was a man with a beard wearing a FIFO/high-vis wharfie jacket. So that means a guy that works in the mines or maybe on the wharves unloading shipping containers. And he was a little past middle age. Why did he get challenged? Can you tell me? My answer, coming from what I know and the studies and what I watch and whatever, for me, I thought it was a little bit harsh, to be honest. But I see where possibly the thought process went. And that was the fact that older guy, old school values, wharfie jacket or /mining jacket, mining towns, prostitution, skimpy bars, women, blah, blah, blah. So not necessarily the utmost respect for a woman, but that's just based on what he was wearing. But unfortunately, that judgment had to be made in that second for a purpose. Second person to get challenged. We'll go back to the defense lawyer. So this woman, a girl got up, alternative, bigger, on the bigger side, purple hair, not bright purple, just kind of purple. I think she had a piercing, she had fishnets on and docs. To the untrained eye, and I say untrained eye because I have once dressed like that growing up. I was goth/alternative. It didn't mean I was a man hater or anything like that. I genuinely like the aesthetic, but girls of that kind of build and everything, they gravitate towards alternative/goth clothing now because it hides things and it caters for their size. So to me, I saw her and I'm like, you're going to get challenged because that lady thinks you're a feminazi because you got purple hair. Ding, ding, ding. She gets challenged. So she went and sat down. Swing it back to the other side, the male lawyer. The next person, and the only person that he challenged besides the first older guy, was... oh, don't make me say it. I'm gonna say it. A very shiny Indian man dressed in leather. Nice hair. Short, a little on the shorter side. Nice enough, but you know how this goes. You've had the internet for longer than 5 minutes. BOBS and vagene, right? So that's why automatically, no, this guy was the quickest. He didn't even make it towards the jury box. He kind of was the front of the courtroom walking across it. Nope, challenge. Poor guy. And to me, I'm like, that's not everyone. It's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype for a reason. If you're a female and you're on the internet, you know this stereotype. Okay, moving on to the last person that was challenged. Now, I'd seen a lot of younger girls in the group, which I thought would get challenged straight away. I myself have been challenged before with that kind of thing. I was once going to be on the jury for a trial about a hold-up in the national park around here. And the hold-up occurred against, I think, 2 women and a man, or a man and 2 women or something, but they were around my age. So as soon as I stood up, the other lawyer went, challenge, and I was like, damn, okay, rejected. Went back to the room, thank God they let me go home. The second lady that got challenged by the female lawyer representing the defense was a girl that I probably would have challenged too, to be honest. She didn't look very bright and she looked completely out of place and she looked like no fucks given. And so that is also why. She was wearing quite a figure-hugging dress. You could see the shape of her bra through it. You could see it was a push-up bra. It had sort of not very classy looking prison tattoos everywhere. Tiny little tattoos everywhere, all over her arms, like little smiley faces, all sorts of stuff. She was rejected because she looked like she gets around. And she looked like she's on all the dating sites and she thinks women should just be able to do whatever they want. And her bias would automatically, potentially, in theory, lean to the plaintiff where they should be allowed to, I don't know, do stuff like walk down the street naked. Yeah, you guys say that. And yeah, look, I wish that you could. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to say, even with men, if you're going to be waving $6 million in your hand, it's going to draw unwanted attention from people that would take advantage of that situation. Regardless of your sex, gender, whether it's sexually related or monetarily related, it's a bad idea. Okay, you don't flash around commodities. It's just not done. We don't want you to have to deal with the consequences. So back to this woman. She stood up. She did get close to the box. She did. But I think that's because the female lawyer was looking down for a few seconds. She got challenged. And then the opening statements were read and the court rules were read by the judge and away we went. It reiterated the fact that you could have all the woke morals in the world, but at the end of the day, there are tried and tested ways to look at a situation, and whether you think that's unfortunate or not, it is what it is. I felt bad for that short Indian man because he could have been the nicest person in the world. Honestly, he could have been so sweet. He could have altered the way the proceedings went. He could have been everybody's best friend, and we'll never know because the lawyer had to make a judgment call in that second based on what he knew of the world, what he knew of stereotypes, and the general image that person was presenting. Hey, look, it does suck sometimes. It would be nice to live in a world where that wasn't a question, but the fact of the matter is we don't live in that world, and at the top tiers of society, the justice system makes those judgment calls based on the way you choose to present yourself. Unfortunately, stereotypes exist for a reason. So my takeaways were, I think that within reason, and if you want to dick about it, it's okay to prejudge a situation where it's a split-second decision or it's your welfare at stake. I mean, whether you want to walk down the street with the group of young men coming up or whether you want to cross and walk down near the pregnant woman that's pushing a stroller. You know what I mean? It's okay to make that judgment call because for me, I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I don't give a shit what you think about that. And again, it is the method of which the highest tiers of society still make their judgment calls. So please don't beat yourself up over it. You're a good person, probably, I guess, maybe. And the second thing is, I never want to be in front of a jury of my peers. Oh my goodness, they're dumb. Well, I mean, look, they're not my peers, but peers, as in quote unquote. Just completely, this is, again, why we can't have nice things. Ugh. Don't want to be one of those people that's asking you to sub and like, but if you feel like commenting or liking, that would help me out. It'll give me the power to do more of these episodes.